Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are going to unpack something truly fascinating. If you've been feeling, completely overwhelmed by the sheer noise of the 21st century, I promise you, you are absolutely not alone. Today we're looking at how an ancient philosophy is actually the ultimate time-tested toolkit for modern mental health. We're going to explore the core principles of the Stoics, and more importantly, how you can apply them right now to stay calm in a chaotic world.
So, I want you to imagine for a second that the absolute perfect solution to your racing thoughts, your social media FOMO, and just your daily stress was actually invented millennia ago. It sounds crazy, right? I mean, your anxiety might be speaking in modern terms, triggered by unread emails, endless news alerts, but the underlying patterns, they are ancient. The Stoics developed very specific mental exercises because, frankly, they face the exact same fundamental human challenges that we face today.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this quote from Epictetus is the absolute cornerstone of everything we're going to talk about today. Now, keep in mind, this is coming from a man who was born into slavery, endured unimaginable physical hardship, and somehow eventually became one of the most revered teachers in Rome. And he perfectly diagnosed the root of human suffering right there. We tend to think the world is upsetting us, but it's actually the story we tell ourselves about the world that causes our distress. Section 1. The chaos of modern life. Ancient problems, modern dressing. To figure out how to fix all this distress, we first really have to look at the chaos itself. It's super easy to think of the Stoics as just, dusty academics walking around in togas. But they were actually the original cognitive behavioral therapists. Take Zeno, the founder of Stoicism. He was a wealthy merchant who literally lost everything, his entire life's cargo, in a devastating shipwreck around 300 BCE. Now, contrast that with us today, having a minor existential crisis over unread emails and intense digital FOMO. Obviously, the contexts are wildly different. But here is the secret. Human brains react the exact same way to losing a fortune at sea as they do to feeling completely overwhelmed by modern hyperconsumption. The biological stress response? It hasn't changed a bit. Section 2. The Dichotomy of Control, the master key to a calm mind. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we hack that stress response. It requires a pretty fundamental shift in mindset. Epictetus taught that we basically must divide the world into two distinct categories. Category 1, what is up to us. And spoiler alert, this is a very short list. It's literally just your thoughts, your actions, your opinions, and your desires. That's it. Category 2, what is not up to us. That's your reputation, whatever people think of you, the weather, the traffic, and even the final outcome of your efforts. By violently focusing all of your energy only on that first category, you immediately cut off the oxygen to your anxiety. There is a great example of this from the source material. Picture a man named Walter, just relaxing in a bar, when out of nowhere, a drunk patron suddenly spits on him. Now, the natural, uncontrolled reaction to that would be instant rage, right? A fight, a completely ruined night. But Walter practiced this dichotomy of control. He knew he couldn't control the drunk man, but he absolutely could control his own judgment of the situation. So he simply reframed the spit in his mind, telling himself, dirty water, just dirty water. He went home, took a shower, and congratulated himself on avoiding a pointless brawl. He controlled his judgment, and by doing so, he preserved his peace. Section 3. The 4 Stoic Virtues, your compass for decision-making. So once you know what you can actually control, you need a framework for exactly how to act within that zone of control. The Stoics fundamentally believe that true happiness comes from living a life of virtue, acting in harmony with 4 main pillars. First, wisdom. That's all about rational thinking and navigating really complex situations with clarity. Second, courage. Now, this isn't just bravery in battle. It's facing your everyday fears and actually embracing voluntary discomfort to build up your resilience. Third is justice, which simply means treating others with fairness, empathy, and integrity. And finally, temperance, which is having self-control and moderation over your desires. These aren't just lofty, abstract ideals, you guys. They are incredibly practical tools for navigating the roadblocks you face every single day. So the crucial point is understanding the ultimate goal of practicing all these virtues, which the Stoics called apatheia. Now, this gets mistranslated a lot to mean our modern word apathy, like you just don't care about anything. Actually, scratch that. It is completely wrong. The Stoics did not want you to suppress your emotions like some kind of robot. Apatheia actually means a tranquil freedom from destructive passions. It's a state of high psychological resilience where you actively prevent your emotions from controlling you. You still feel things, deeply even, but you respond to them with reason. Section 4, Amor Fati, loving fate. Radical acceptance of reality. Mastering your emotions opens the door to perhaps the most challenging, yet definitely the most rewarding concept in all of Stoicism, Amor Fati. This means moving way beyond just tolerating bad things to actually embracing them. It means treating everything that happens to you, the wanted and the really unwanted, as material to work with, rather than some terrible injustice to resent. It's not just acceptance, it's genuine affection for your actual life. Think about a terrible breakup, a job loss, or a major failure. Most of us spend years wishing those events hadn't happened. Amor Fati is the practice of closing that gap. It's looking at the exact reality you've been handed and saying, okay, this is the train. What can I build with this?
Interestingly, while the ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, totally invented the practice of loving your fate, it was actually the 19th century philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche who coined the famous Latin phrase Amor Fati. He saw it as the absolute ultimate human achievement. To be able to look at your life with all of its pain and setbacks and want literally nothing to be different. To not just bear what is necessary, but to actually love it.
Now, if that sounds basically impossible, consider these real-world examples. Viktor Frankl watched everything be taken from him in concentration camps, but realized the last human freedom, choosing his stance toward his suffering, could never be taken away. Nelson Mandela used 27 years in a brutal prison not to build up resentment, but as necessary preparation to lead and reconcile an entire nation. Michael J. Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's at just 29 years old, and he reframed it as a gift that ultimately allowed him to raise over $1 billion for research. Amor Fati is for sure not passive resignation. It is an active, highly empowering choice that is built directly out of catastrophe.
Section 5. A daily anti-anxiety routine, the Stoic toolbox for modern survival. Let's move to and see how this builds into an actual emergency response protocol. When that familiar tightness hits your chest, use what the sources call the Stoic pause. It's super simple. First, you literally just pause. Second, take one conscious breath to create a little bit of space between the stimulus and your reaction. Third, ask yourself, is this actually in my control? And fourth, take the absolute smallest helpful action immediately. It is the perfect emergency brake for an anxiety spiral, pulling you right out of your racing mind and anchoring you back into actionable reality. But listen, you can't just use this in emergencies. Consistency is the secret sauce to building the psychological muscle of Stoicism. So, here is your daily framework. In the morning, spend just 5 minutes on premeditatio, deliberately rehearsing potential challenges that might pop up today so you aren't completely blindsided by them. Throughout the day, use that Stoic pause we just talked about whenever you need it, and in the evening, act like Marcus Aurelius and journal. Review what made you anxious, how you responded, and what you could do a little bit better tomorrow. Here is a great story from the source material about a woman named Megan. She suffered from absolutely terrible interview nerves. The night before a massive job interview, instead of spiraling into a total panic, she used the morning premeditatio technique. She listed out everything that could possibly go wrong, and then aggressively separated what she could control from what she couldn't. She realized, hey, I can't control the interviewers or what kind of mood they're in, but I entirely control my preparation and my breathing. She let go of the rest, slept like a baby, and ended up getting the job. Section 6. Ancient Wisdom, Modern Science. Stoicism in a Lab Coat. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that Megan wasn't just doing some quirky historical role play, she was engaging in hard, evidence-based psychology. Notice how perfectly these ancient terms map directly onto modern clinical psychology. The Stoic dichotomy of control. Therapists today call that locus of control and radical acceptance. That morning rehearsal of bad events, premeditatio malorum, is essentially cognitive exposure therapy. And stepping back from your judgments is cognitive reappraisal. Modern cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is literally the gold standard for treating anxiety today, is essentially derived entirely from the exercises of the ancient Stoics. The science 100% backs up Epictetus. Which leaves us right here. The world is going to keep being chaotic, the emails will definitely keep coming, the traffic will still be terrible, and unexpected hardships will eventually arrive at your door. You simply cannot control the chaos of the 21st century. But, as the Stoics have proven for over 2 millennia, you possess the ultimate power to control your response to it. So the only question left for you as you step back into your day is this: how will you respond today?